Wow, it's dark. Um, it's raining a little bit, so we got the window closed. I came across this and just took a look at it just to see what. It's just interesting to see what's being said. Oh, it's coming down harder now. It's loud, and it's not too nothing to do with organizations, and it's not about that or this or because there's trillions of different things going on, but I find it interesting because right on the website, why do Jehovah's Witnesses go from door to door? And they use scripture as the church world uses scripture, and they just sort of grab it and use it however, whatever they're doing, like the hell preachers will pick out a verse or two and say, that's what I'm commanded to do. And they don't have a clue that doing anything without the Father's Spirit is more than worthless, because everything we read, obviously they would agree with this. They would have to if they heard it. And I don't see it, but everything we read, learning by the Creator himself, by Messiah himself, is to do these things with that understanding as the Father gives someone to understand and do. It's not carnal man without his Spirit coming up with something to profit and make money or whatever, and then grab scriptures carnally and say, he's telling me to do this because I read the letters. That's their understanding. And I just wanted to use, I'm not, this has nothing to do with telling someone what to do, as I'm, constantly seeing, I want to exaggerate like every minute, but, constantly learning more as time goes. I don't know how backwards it is. I don't know yet, except for whatever he's shown me. But I don't know how far off I'm still, And so it's a little bit of like fear mixed in there. But oh, it's getting loud, the rain. This has nothing to do. It's just how people just use the scripture. And then I was reading, and I can't say I have this perfect understanding on what I'm about to read myself, but I find the scripture, Messiah's words, where he says, do not go from house to house. Now, obviously, it's not some kind of cold carnal command that you write down and now this is what everyone, this is what you do at this time and you do this. Like, all things have to be done in spirit as the Father gives to understand and show someone whatever for them. It's nothing to do with commanding people what to do, so that's not happening here. But it's just interesting that we can read Messiah's direct words. It says, don't go from house to house. Now, what does this mean? I don't know. Not fully. I can see I don't know what I need to know, but I can see there's something about this though, and man's always wanting to do the backwards thing. So if someone's doing, this, going out, preaching the gospel, giving good news, which it is good news, not, can you imagine the disciples? Of course, truth is not based on things like this, but nevertheless, Messiah and the disciples saying, if you don't believe in the Father today, this house is damned to be tortured for all eternity. Where is the scripture, man? That would be incredibly important to know somewhere in his word, Genesis to Revelation, And instead we have the apostle saying he has a hope for the resurrection of the just and the unjust. There's some people that openly say there is no resurrection of the unjust. Why would those that are alive in Messiah need resurrected? Well, because now there's groups of people that will say being alive in Messiah is the end of the resurrection right now. And this is real sneaky stuff, because they're saying some true words. And to be resurrected and alive in Messiah is to be alive in him, awake sleepers from the dead. This is true. And then using that so craftily to say that is the end all understanding. They're saying resurrection. That's what they end up teaching with the heart, if you dissect it, to be given to see what someone's doing, why they're doing it. That there's no actual resurrection because spiritual, they'll use the word spiritual and they use it foully, as I've seen, because questioning in the past on some of these things, and wolves started coming out. They're not able to hear any questions that go against what's said, and they don't use any scriptures. They don't do anything. They just attack and run away. But at least give back, at least give back someone something, even if it's, I'm not saying to give back false, but just don't even do that. I see it often. And now their website, and it's not about Jehovah's Witness. It's just mankind, what he's doing. It's just it's always backwards. But it's not even about this example. It's just constantly, it's shocking as I learn and see. You start caring about this verse all of a sudden, or this verse or that verse and you starts becoming important at the proper time for somebody, which could be different for someone else, and that needs to be understood. And I constantly am seeing amazing, the backwards thing, like don't sound the trumpet, don't sound the alarm, screaming at the rooftops, like how, look at all the fruit we produce, look at all the good, which makes this whole thing on YouTube interesting too. I've been questioning it myself, and I don't know. I have to wait a little bit while. Don't know that I'm getting answers, but like, is this a legitimate way? I think it can be done, but I've never really deeply questioned it, like on another level. It's hard to put into words. I mean, if it's done at the Father's will, then of course it's the Father's actual will. It's just that it's just tormenting to see all the people lying and doing all kinds of things, using it for evil. But I suppose there's always the good and the evil. But nevertheless, I wouldn't want to say because this exists not to do whatever someone's being told by Messiah himself to do face to face, never saying that. Just that it seems to be a pretty good way to get truth, the good news out today in today's world. A tool, I suppose, one way. But nevertheless, they say go to door, and then they use like Matthew. I might have to read them, and Acts. There's a couple verses there, and I'm watching what the heart's doing, because these are the verses they use for door to door. And I want to see if that is in there. Is that really in there? And it's not even about this, because anything we read not done in spirit is worthless anyways, because we'll just be carnal people going out and lying, and doing evil without his spirit and understanding. And that's something that, the church world openly will say, like, his word is to be understood by all people. Read it. Have you read the Bible enough times? And people need to read their Bible more. Well, their heart is showing me the heart is actually believing in the heart that that's what it is, that his word is worthless without his spirit, though. It's never worthless by itself, but to just read it and then create. It's like people are creating doctrines based on what they already believe and then finding the scriptures for it. This is too easy to do. It's being done everywhere. And so here's an example here where, okay, it doesn't matter what the thing is. In this case, it's some door-to-door thing. Or it could be this, or it could be hell, or, whatever it is that's being taught. And then they grab the scriptures and this is it. It's like that simple. And Messiah taught more about hell than anyone else. And even when they say that, it's amazing. It's because there's a few verses that we have the word Gehenna. And then, knowing that the Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, there's parallel writings, the same thing happening. If you include that, their claim is even that's not even true. But of course, how many times something is said, that doesn't really, by itself, that doesn't prove anything by itself. But nevertheless, not very many times actually, and yet it's very important. But they make it sound like it's like dozens and dozens, or even, it's just like a thing to say. Even someone I know, uncle family, as a preacher, said these things, I spoke with him a few years back, but he taught more about hell than, it's like there's no love or care for truth at all. And once something like that is taught, they can't take it back, is what I'm saying constantly. They can't take anything back. How? Well, you can go to the congregation and say, I've lied about this massive thing. Supposed to be getting truth from above and repenting for whatever is wrong and evil, which happens along the way. The teachings, things inside, we already believe that. You say, okay, this was wrong, and you thought it was true. Happens all the time. Hopefully less and less with, foundational understanding, spiritual truth, but nevertheless it happens. So maybe I'll use, let me see. So they have here Matthew 28, 19-20. Okay, sent his early disciples, directed to go to the homes of the people. And once again, this has nothing to do with someone, telling them what to do or not to do this or do, that would be crazy. Even if it sounds good, it would be crazy to command to go and do this thing and go right there and do it. They can't see why this is wrong. And yet at the same time, not ignoring his word or something. It's just they don't understand that, a 5-year-old can't do that if it's 5 years old. And they don't know what the Creator's will is for that person specifically. But to command like that is to already say they know the Creator's will perfectly for the person and how old they are and how much he can handle and all these things. Crazy it gets. It's a massive spiritual problem. And yet at the same time, it's a fine line between truth and error, because at the same time you don't say his word is like a lie or something, but it'll kind of sound like it sometimes. Don't you believe the scriptures, and you're saying don't command people to go out and do this or that. And they'll take it wrongly so that they can throw something down, and it's not what we're saying. Not understanding, let's go back. Oh, it's getting real loud in here. 7 years or so for me. If someone commanded something that I wasn't aware of, didn't understand, couldn't do, it would just only kill me and kill someone else. It would only hurt them, deceive them, because they're commanding a believer that's believed for maybe a year to go out and do things that they don't even have a clue and understand yet. But mankind is like already believing he that's monstrous to even say this, because what do you mean he has no clue? Or no, anybody could go out and, they put heavy burdens on people, don't they? In all kinds of different ways. But we read, his yoke is easy, his burden is light. Messiah, the narrow way, following him. And yet, still needing to, nevertheless, learn and do these things we read. But it's coming at the proper time to understand this or that. And they don't see what they do when they just command someone to keep like 613 commandments or something. They don't see the monstrous thing spiritually of what they really just commanded. It's crazy. They just commanded someone to be. It's out of the realm. It's not even remotely understanding every single commandment and keeping it perfectly, and going. But they say it like carnally because their understanding is just natural. And so for the natural man, it kind of would make sense. So people get sucked into it. I could stop murdering people, yeah. And they hear this on the other side. What do you mean? You can't put command like that in that kind of way, putting heavy burden. This guy must be a devil or something, because what are you saying? Murder people? That's how quick the attacks come back like that. So childish. And it's always putting on something that's not meant. That was not being said, but they do that for you just fine. This is what you meant. Responding off of that's what we meant when it's not. This applies for anything. So many examples. And people do that quickly, it's putting things on people instantly and then responding off of it. And this could be with all kinds of things. And what I find happens is whatever someone did recently in the heart, they reveal it by saying, you did this. And you look at it and go, wow, I can't believe that. This person just did what they're claiming with no evidence on this side and all evidence spiritual on that side. People give themselves away like that, and then they put it on someone automatically. Now, for most people in this world, unbelievers, they would end up being right, I guess, if you want to go there. Anyone not learning his commandments, not repenting at all, nothing. Everyone does whatever people are saying, but they themselves do it, so that's a pointing the finger with a hypocrisy. But if someone isn't doing this or that, I'm saying they'll do it anyways. They'll put it on that person anyways, even if they didn't. There's no evidence for it, and it's done quickly. They just revealed that that's what they just did. Pretty deceiving, deceptive. I'll guess back to, so Matthew 10:7 and 11:13. I got Luke, Matthew. These are some verses they use there. 10:7 and 11 and 13. And as you go, preach, saying the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead. The new text. Okay. Majority new text. There's a little note. So that's one verse. Then 11 through 13. Whatever city or town you enter, inquire who in it is worthy, and stay there till you go out. And when you go out into a household, greet it. If the household is worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it's not worthy, let your peace return to you. So we got 11 through 13 and 7. Preach the kingdom. And then whatever town you hold, about. So, nothing direct so far is what, from this direct, because they just say on their website, why go to door, and here's the verses why, and I don't, for nothing specific. Now Acts 5:42, 2020. And I just want to find some kind of honesty, and it's like, where is it? Acts 5, what was it? 42. And daily, so they departed from the presence of the council, rejoicing that they were counted worthy to suffer shame for his name. Well, that's a big thing. That's what's going to happen. That's why Messiah says, whoever's ashamed of him, he'll be ashamed of us. So it's like that perfect judgment, righteous judgment back. And they're rejoicing, counted worthy to suffer shame for his name. Oh man, nobody would want to do that of themselves, to put themselves in a position to do something that all mankind would say, oh, it's, you make you feel shameful. And they're saying it's counted worthy. So backwards, But what does that mean, shameful? Well, if you don't enter the church doors, it's like the extent of it. And then Messiah ashamed of you. Oh no, this is not it. It's way deeper than that. It's speaking about real things. Doing good works in the face of evil could be examples of shame for Messiah. Yes, it can. It's connected. Caving in and doing something you shouldn't do in the presence of a bunch of evil going on. Why? Ashamed of Messiah. I don't know this man. It's not about I don't know this literal man. That's not the understanding, although that's what he did. But but it's a spiritual thing happening. And it could happen all kinds of different ways, as I know something about it. Everyone's going to do it. And then that's why we read, don't be ashamed of Messiah. Then mankind will be ashamed of the true Messiah, just naturally. There's so pressure from the enemy to do whatever the world's doing. And so then someone could be ashamed and go along with it, so that, they're not showing there's some kind of shame, and also weakness, obviously, and afraid of persecution, tribulation. And we read counted worthy for the shame, and we could read about many verses on tribulation, persecution. It's going to happen. And daily in the temple and in every house, they did not cease teaching and preaching Messiah, Yahushua as the Messiah. They say 5:42, and in every house. Let's see what the Young's literal says here. Just curious. Every day also in the temple and in every house, they were not ceasing teaching and proclaiming good news. Messiah. Okay, they use that verse for going house to house. I know, that's why I repeat it. I know how easily people can take everything wrong, They're waiting to take something wrong, Okay, so where is it? Daily in the temple and in every house, they did not cease teaching and preaching. I don't see it. Every house, every literal house, everywhere, is that what happened? In the ones they went to, but I don't see anything specific. But they're the ones taking things out of context when they talk about context. I have to read a little bit above, I guess, in Acts 5. And now I say, you keep away from these men and let them alone, for if this plan or this work is of men, it will come to nothing. But if it is of Elohim, you cannot overthrow it, lest you even be found to fight against the Creator Elohim. They agreed with him, and When they had called for the apostles and beaten them, they commanded that they should not speak in the name of Messiah and let them go. So they departed from the presence of the council, rejoicing they were counted worthy to suffer shame for his name. Daily in the temple and in every house they did not cease teaching and preaching. And then there's Acts 20:20. It's kind of difficult with the small split screen thing here. That's the last one, at least on the page I'm looking at on the website. 2020. Here we are. Serving, we have the word Lord there, but with all humility, with many tears and trials which happened to me by the plotting of the Jews, how I kept back nothing that was helpful, but proclaimed it to you and taught you publicly from house to house, testifying to Jews and to Greeks, repentance towards Elohim and faith towards our Messiah, Yahushua. Proclaimed it to you and taught you publicly and from house to house. Young's literal. I did keep back. Now, how nothing I did keep back of what things you are profitable not to declare to you and to teach you publicly and in every house. It's a little different. It's like the Acts 5 and in every house. But is that what? Is this a teaching? What is, there's a rightly dividing. Is this when he's just speaking about these things that are happening and what he's doing, is this a teaching to go from literally to house? That's what I'm looking for. And he's saying what he did declare, not holding back, and to teach you publicly and in every house. And for some reason, the New King James has house to house. And that's it. Those are the verses. But then we have Messiah saying in Luke 10, somewhere 10, okay. The harvest truly is great, but the laborers are few. Therefore pray the master of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest. Go your way. Behold, I send you out as lambs among wolves. Man, if someone could see what this means, because the natural picture is never wrong. It's something like the spiritual it's lining up with. So someone pictures lambs, literal lambs, and he sends them out. Go your way among wolves. What would happen in the natural picture? Attacked quite a bit, and somehow the lamb still survives. That's the miracle. That's what shouldn't happen. Naturally speaking, anyways, it would take a miracle for the lamb to stay alive. Hungry wolves, spiritually hungry. These attacks are spiritual. The temptations are spiritual. The fall, someone's fall is spiritual. And this is not to exclude physical things that can be, it's all connected, but it's not about the literal physical thing, like literally falling or something. But, part of something could be some physical thing, no doubt, obviously, but that's not the spiritual war. It's in the heart always, going back to the heart, which, everything that is physical, there's a connection always with the heart. But when you cut that off and just talk about the natural thing, cutting off the heavenly, by itself, it profits nothing. Like Messiah says, the flesh profits nothing. My words are spirit. Someone's understanding only natural without spiritual, from above, from Father, from Messiah, spiritual understanding, then it profits nothing, because the best that could do is just natural things when the sin is actually heavenly. Therefore, only natural, excluding what sin is in the heart, worthless, because the sin is in the heart. That is the heavenly higher thing. Someone could be in continual sin while they think they're good. This is the deception. It's the masquerade. naturally sort of looking good, appearing good. And all over his word, it's taught. And Messiah says, judge with righteous judgment, in contrast to looking at something and judging it falsely based on just what it appears to look like. And that's it. And amazingly, even though that sounds pretty shallow, people are doing that. But this world says things that make it sound like they don't do that. That's the damnable thing, is don't judge a book by its cover, but that's all that's happening in the heart. You can see it. And obviously the temptation to do that, let alone those that don't know him. It's beyond temptation. It's all they know still. And this can come in all kinds of forms, untold many things, not just like how someone looks, I suppose, but in anything. Someone's quick, they prove it with the works of the heart, that they, what they think something is, or what they think it looks like, or what it appears to be. It's happening all the time. Obviously, we read even not to even like appear evil, like to hate the spot on the garment, to hate even like what is that on the flesh, some garment, like to hate even little blemishes or spots even. But then again, this could be used perversely and quickly perverted, because there is an important connection to even not even appearing or looking like you're doing some kind of evil. And yet there's the evil way right there, right next to it, where, it's basically the opposite thing happening. Doing it out of pride and self-righteousness, and it's all about looks. But just because that's the false thing, it doesn't mean that there's some kind of importance and connection. And it's like with everything, it's just like that. It's going to sound like, by saying this is not the real important thing, it's going to sound like it's trashing something, the appearance or this natural thing or that. And it's not. It's just that natural thing by itself, not murdering people, all by itself is worthless, although not, once again, not worthless when we have the connection and understanding that that's still, to murder someone is still connected to murdering in the heart, but cutting the understanding off, the heavenly understanding, it becomes worthless by itself. And that's the carnal understanding of, I don't steal, I don't rape and murder, It's just because this isn't the higher thing, it doesn't mean there's still no importance or connection. It doesn't seem like I don't know. That's the best I could do. Obviously stealing is no good still. I mean, even saying that is crooked. Obviously it's no good. Literal stealing requires stealing in the heart, but there's a way to steal that needs to be taught from the Father above. We can steal without physically stealing. And obviously physically stealing something is stealing. And they don't have this care or reverence or anything. They just dump his commandments. I thought that's what Messiah is supposed to be teaching us. But even the connection with Moses, seeing it with spiritual eyes, there's no other way to say it. You could say the words, you could say the right words, and it still doesn't hit, and it doesn't enter someone. They don't have the revelation that Moses taught the commandments to the people, and he's a type of Messiah. And so then Messiah is also teaching commandments, just not exactly like Moses, natural only, just on stone. It doesn't mean those things are not important. That's the foundation, It's just that there's a way to cut it off. Messiah, not have Messiah. Another spirit, not literally cutting him off like, some kind of religious system. Messiah is who he is, no matter what anyone does. But in spirit, delusion, another spirit, there's a way to be self-righteous by only seeing letters. That's it, all by itself, and without any spiritual understanding of the law, being taught the heavenly, what it is to do these things, what is the real sin with the heart. There's a way to do this without having any heavenly understanding, and that's all by itself no good. It was just a revelation to see the apostle was a perfect example of exactly that. Concerning the law, perfect, zealous, very knowledgeable. And what was he doing? Murdering, full of wrath and envy and hatred. And these things are all connected. Nobody murders with the heart for real, without envy also in there. It's already there, it's all together as one. Although one could be standing out, there's a connection with all the commandments. And, lying to someone, what lying really is important. But see, just because the world doesn't see it as important, not that it won't say this, but what I'm seeing lying is, whatever I can see now, that the world will not believe it's important. They can't see it. So when they do lie, it's as if they're not lying. That's what's happening. That's how someone calls good evil and evil good. It's like a child still. It just, if no one sees me literally lie, then I didn't lie, or if I just don't lie what I think is not lying. But people are lying all the time, and somebody in Messiah would know something about this, because he's catching us, teaching us what it is, going to be caught doing it. And I know without his spirit, people are lying all the time, all kinds of ways. There's like no care. It's amazing. It's shocking. Saying this doesn't automatically make me perfect, like with the completion, perfected and not lying. But if that was required, then nobody could speak. And yet we're not saying sin. But if it was required, like they make it sound like, then nobody could speak at all, even them, even those against the Messiah. And their religious leaders can't speak either. But it only applies to the person they're talking about, never themselves. It's shocking. They contradict and condemn themselves, Let's just say they condemn, let's say they got us. Oh, you got me, okay. Yeah, but they got themselves too. How come that never matters? They think there is no way to do evil without being like a fool, a hypocrite, condemning self, canceling self out. There's no way to attack. I would love someone to try to bring it up, find a way, and a carnal man would find some twisted way, and then we would dissect it and find out it's not possible. I haven't seen it, and I'm not going to see. I'm confident. Whenever evil is in the heart and attacks and does this, secretly or openly, it's doing all kinds of things. It's contradicting, it's hypocrisy, it's guilty itself. There's like no way to actually do evil without all this mess and hypocrisy and sin. But I don't see that understanding in the world. Everything is just like people's opinions and churches for the sick, right? That's what's shocking. You start seeing some of these things. The way the Father's pouring out someone's folly is they say things so often that are a lie and true. In one sense, yes, it's a cage for every hated bird and foul spirit. It's sick. Plagues, sick. You could read about the plagues and diseases all over Scripture. And church is for the sick. But in another sense, they're saying it's a lie, because no, it's not for the sick or the heavenly body, the heavenly ecclesia gathering. the one body, and if you must use that word, one heavenly church from above, that people are conforming to his ways and not creating our own worldly systems and things. It already exists. Well, just because all mankind is not aware of it doesn't mean anything. It exists. And then if we're being taught by the same creator, then this is, the same language. But then there's 20 trillion other languages. And since there's this many other languages, it muddies up that there is one language. That no one will believe it. No one will see it. It's a gross thing that just always has to be. Always will be like this. I don't see it, and I don't see it changing. As long as man is ruling in his kingdoms, not forever, literally, like they teach, some of these people openly. It's going to be like this forever and ever. And at some point, their denomination is going to save everyone. That's like their cover, so they can sell books right now, so they can be a king in its kingdom right now. They don't even care about the words they say. Even their own words, I don't see any. They don't even believe their own words they say. When you go a little bit deeper than what everyone else is thinking, as soon as you poke in a little bit deeper than the skin, it's like a bird puffing up. It starts getting wild, starts going crazy. Those are the only things that matter, the inside things, deeper things. As soon as you go a little bit deeper, I see this everywhere. It's like all along, what's going on over here? No one's talking about anything real. It's not even about talking, but like, spiritual things, the heart, what's really going on. It's not happening. It's like, it's a weird thing to see. Spiritual thing I'm seeing is a weird, strange thing. It's not real. In that it's just like a cover, a delusion, but I don't, that's what comes together when seeing it. Real people, real things going, that's not the point, but like spiritually, it's not real. You like find out their cover slips off a little bit, and that they don't actually care about anyone. It's a scary thing to see. It's a strange thing. And the creator says he does a strange work. He's going to cut it short. In righteousness, is that what we read? Cut it short. That might just be the connection where Messiah is saying, like, it's cut short. It's for the end, I suppose, but what it means spiritually, it's not coming to mind. Cutting the work short. The days shortened. And one of the most interest going off a little bit, one of the most like literal signs to me I see, heavenly, like proof staring right at us, that the days were lengthened, and it still is. It's like just for those to behold and see. 365 and some change. Those are odd numbers. So is 29 and a half and some change. They're odd, literally odd. So everything the creator does is like, he's the teacher of the parables and everything spiritual. He's the teacher. He needs to give us the understanding of his word. That's it. Messiah, the Father and Messiah. We, like we read, we gives us the understanding. He would know something about it. Sort of saying like a mockery to the world. His own creation is testifying to spiritual truth, his word, constantly. That's why we read the heavens scream out, like singing, shouting, screaming. His works, that he exists, all these things, we could read a lot Psalm, other places. The heavens are declaring the handiwork. I mean, it's obvious, but it doesn't matter. When someone's blind, it's not obvious, and yet it is. But here it is, here it is, here it is, and yet someone can't see. Otherwise, why would they try to teach the whole world as they're doing that? You know, concerning creation, that science, that there's no creator. You know, their works prove that they don't believe in him, don't want to. They're going against him. They prove the enmity. But back on earth over here, the natural explanations and reasons, that's one thing. But how much of it is delusion, though? Through the natural reasons and explaining this is how the creator's getting this or that done because of what someone thinks and what they think is wrong. And that's how he gets a judgment done. You know, have they ever considered it? Going a little deeper, you know. Because someone believes and thinks like this or that in the heart, that's the creator's judgment. This is why it's happening. But from their perspective, it's nothing. There's no connection to the Father at all. See, when people talk, they're already speaking of worldly understanding and, you know, a reason for everything, which I'm not going against that. Obviously, you know, if anything, his people are the ones that believe there's a reason and thing for everything, and the world doesn't, concerning spiritual things, you know, just carnally. And it's actually being used to confuse people. Because in someone's mind, if this happens for this reason, like this process or whatever, that proves something in people's mind, and that whole entire belief needs to be thrown away. I don't know how else to say it, but it's already there. But it's wrong. It's messed up. No, it doesn't prove anything. It's doing the exact opposite. But how could someone see without seeing? I mean, it's crazy because the creation, you know, people, Israel said, you're going to be tempted. Don't do it. All the other nations worship the stars, moon, sun, all the things on the earth. They worship the creation and not the creator. Don't give thanks to him. So, you know, this world's like got that in its heart, and yet no creator. Doesn't have the Father in their heart, the creator in his heart. But it's like loving the creation and worshiping it, you know, it's hooked to it. It's weird. I mean, that's how much more proof on the blinding delusion, man. It's a strong thing. That's stupid. But I'm only saying that out of, I can see it's stupid, but it's not saying it out of blame or pointing fingers, but it is stupid still. But when the preacher man would say something like that, he's literally condemning everyone. It's obvious. It's like makes my hair stand. But there's like a spell, and no one sees it. They would say you're crazy. He's not doing any of this or that. He's not lying. He's not doing this or that. He loves the sheep. Of course, they never seem to speak about Messiah and, you know, all these, everything we can read quite a bit about the Pharisees, the religious leaders. They seem to be quiet on that for the most part. You know, it's like if they don't, it's better if we don't say anything if we can. If we have to, well, we got something we could give them, but let's stay a little quiet, hush. And everywhere there's people that put their finger up to their mouth and give the hush symbol. I've seen it so many things random. It's like, is someone telling them all to do the same thing? That's where at some point my understanding changed from what I thought on like conspiracies and people sitting at a table planning it all out decades and years in advance. And they're as people will call them, trolls and shills. And that completely changed, and it didn't surprise me. Wait a second. Even this is messed up. It's showing the deceptive power of the enemy just working in the people. And it's working together like for evil. It's not to say there's never secret meetings or plans. No point. Not speaking of that. But like how, I could see what I believe, so I know what I'm saying about this one thing. I mean, it's simple, because I had a certain perception and understanding and belief, and that started being torn apart. That very specific thing. It's not working like that, like the truthers out there, They got their groups and different divisions and stuff. Of course, the Father has nothing to do with it, right? We're just throwing God every once in a while, and that's okay now. We'll create a whole organization on flat Earth, And for a while there, I couldn't see any of these things even, or just a little. And the more you see, the more ugly it is, the nastier it is, because it's like coming out of deception. But we were there, right there with it. So no one's going to believe it. No one will see if they're not being given. Frustration. You start seeing the plots and the devices of the enemy. We're not being deceived constantly in the same way, like we read by the enemy's devices. Starting to see the tricks. Well, this organization is actually hurting people. It's not. It's Lynn and saying this is the truth. And it's going to go to war with everyone else if they only could see the insanity of that. This is where understanding the things to come is incredibly important, because those that don't have that in their heart for real can't do what's required that we read, which has nothing to do with doing everything at once, but nevertheless, they can't do it the right way, whatever the truth and right way is, because that belief is not in the heart, things to come. They don't understand, it's got to be ugly all the way to the end. He's proving the exact opposite, the Father, that all man's divisions will not do what it claims, and it never has, and it's just fighting and killing each other. Flat Earth this, or concave Earth, whatever, this or that. It's not working. It's not working. It's doing nothing. It's making people money. It's working in that way, and working evil. But not everything that's said is evil. But see, that's not even the point. As I'm convinced in my own mind, the Earth is not a spinning globe. Therefore, you must be a flat earther. But I don't like any of the names or phrases or organizations or ideas that the world puts on things. It's a trap. It's a trap. Why can't I believe what the Creator's Earth, simply not spinning and moving, without being thrown in some organization? The devil wants you to be thrown in there because it's a trap. The pressure will be there. Watch it in the people. The thing they hate most is you not being in some kind of specific group. Oh yeah, I've seen this thing. And if anyone else is seeing it, they'll find out too. We're seeing it. Already looking over here and saying, wow, you're a little behind. You're a little baby tree or something. But I know all those in Messiah. It's a trap. It's a spiritual trap. People want you to be in, and when they see something they don't see in this world, it makes them uncomfortable. And you see this discomfort quickly, and it's like you want to help people and they would run away from you. It's so backwards. If you say anything that's out of truth, well, that's mature. These spiritual things. People will throw in, lol, just kidding, wasn't serious. I wasn't serious. Lol, joking, just kidding. Seriousness here is being used as bad. Why? Because the whole world's not serious and spiritually serious. It's Spiritually serious is bad, and they use it to defend themselves. They don't know what they're doing. They put on you that you're being ultra serious and it's like a bad thing. They put that on you invisibly. They just put that on you and then respond out of that happening in some kind of bad, negative, evil way. And once they stick that on you, it's over. Someone's judgment doesn't change unless the Father has mercy on them right that moment. That's doing evil, man. That's, and the picture he gave me is a kid throwing mud on someone's face, throw mud on Messiah's face, aha, and spawned out of Messiah being a dirty, muddy evildoer. Them throwing the mud never counts. This is very easy to do. It doesn't matter if someone has this knowledge. It doesn't mean they'll never do it or aren't doing it, or, that's a separation, a different thing. Just that this is what I see true, and of course doing this now is important, not doing this. Not putting things on people. Only righteous judgment, whatever is actually seen. But without the Father giving us, we'll judge wrongly, we'll do evil, we'll want evil on someone. All these things get mixed up pretty quick. Is he going to allow it to happen? Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's frustrating when it happens. Where you didn't judge rightly, and these things start becoming a big deal, and someone would look at you and go, you didn't do anything. It's not like you shot someone. It's not like you stole anything. They can't see it. Doesn't matter. Just saying that is showing someone's not understanding at all. Yes, that was an evil thing, this or that. Falsely, even if it's an unbeliever, thinking they did something that they didn't do in this one moment. And that was putting a false judgment accusation on someone and then responding out of it with some anger or something, And then the Father shows you that, no, that's not what happened that moment. You're, going like overzealous. So now you can't start going automatic and say this is just because these things are real and happening a lot. You can't just go automatic on everyone and say that's what you did and that's why. Done. That's pretty dangerous spiritually. So it's like no matter what, it's like whatever he's showing me. Then now you got to do this. Oh, great. And then if you do this, well, now you can't do this. How on earth can someone, it's unbelievable what people think. Commandments are impossible for man of self to do. If they could only see a little bit of these spiritual things, they would agree, obviously not seeing it. Yes, the war is spiritual, and they use that phrase, and it's like a catchphrase. It's that going back to the cover delusion. I see that as soon as you poke a little bit through the skin. People get angry. And so easy to twist his word. How does someone know that they're doing that or not? And using it perversely, evilly to deceive people. Well, what is deception? Well, here's deception. Here's a little bit of what deception is, a little piece of the puzzle. We could read plainly in Proverbs, specifically somewhere. Someone that has hatred inside their heart, and they're angry and furious, but they hold it back, and they show it with their lips, like we read there, is deceiving himself. Is deceiving himself and not loving neighbor. No, someone that does that's not loving the neighbor right there. That's not an example of loving the neighbor. It's deceiving self and the other person. Anything that's making it look like something that it's not inside is a deception. pretty hard to be honest in this world. Yeah, it's a lot of pressure and tribulation. It's too easy to be deceiver. You start going finer and finer, finer and finer details. And it seems like it takes more work to get the finer things fixed. I don't know if it's true, but the last couple days or something before the moon is full, it seems like for 3 days it like looks, you could see a little difference when it's clear, but it kind of looks full for 3 days, just a quick look at it. It takes like 3 days just to get a little bit brighter. But like when it's half full, perfectly half, like a straight line, the next day it's pretty obvious. Maybe I'm off there, I don't know, percentages or anything. It's just an observation. Seems like more time and fire is needed to actually fix the smaller thing, which is in one way more important than the bigger thing. And this is difficult to put into words. If someone doesn't care about the little things, if they're not able to handle, how are they able to do big things? Like we read Messiah saying this. You can't. The world's already doing the backwards thing in the heart. It's the spiritual understanding what the heart is doing. It's already backwards on that. The works are backwards. How do you put it into words? If you don't, I don't have the right words exactly, but small things, if you're not doing or caring about, how will you do, bigger things? Isn't that backwards in the heart with the world? It's works. If it doesn't do the little things, it's no big deal because it's little. That requires, but I do the big things. It's a deception. It's not happening in reality. It's not happening. I've had the right words that made sense to me some time back, but I don't know. It's actually the other way, where if someone doesn't care at all about little things, they don't care or not doing the big things either. Period. That's, Messiah's words. Who would like to fight against it? Messiah's words also says, once again, the context and everything, not claiming to understand fully here, but we do have the words pretty plainly. Do not go from house to house. This sounds like to me, specifically now, with clarity, going to one house and then going right to the next, and then to the next, and then to the next. And something that goes along with that a little is when you're on the way, don't greet anyone on the way. Doesn't that sound bad? It sounds bad. Everything's backwards. Don't greet anyone like on the road, on the way, along, right in Luke 10, I think, right there. It's like you're going with a clarity, with purpose to here or over there. And in the meantime, in this example, this could be used quickly to do evil, man, so quickly. And on the way, don't do anything with those people. But what does the enemy do? He does the opposite thing, making a show for, to make itself look like it's the one that cares and does these things. And its heart is 180 in reality. But then when someone obeys in whatever they're learning or gives for understanding, it's attacking, it's backwards on what the world is showing for. But the heart is good, righteous from, Father's righteousness out of obeying. It's amazing. It's like with everything. It's pretending it cares by needing to do the backwards thing and sin. Oh, you just walked right past this person. That means you don't care. I care. And they actually don't. They're the one breaking his word here or there. How come they didn't obey it? Just an example. When people show off for the good work and money and donate whatever, that's breaking Messiah's words, the teaching there. Why? Why is that important? Because if something's being done with a false intention, it's more than worthless. It's evil. Is that a big deal to this world? Spiritual things? No. No, just what it looks like. Here, put up the fence, put up the cover. All right, we're safe inside. No, it's not safe. The Father is judging the heart. People are doing these things because they're being judged and blinded. They're not coming out of it. The intention of the heart. Word, what sin is, the intention of the heart, what it's doing, why it's doing, what its belief inside and everything, its work. It's a big deal. But it's not a big deal to the world. And I've seen things where you get into some of these things in depth, and all of a sudden someone goes, who cares, and it's like, oops, Christians slip up a little bit. It just showed openly that they never cared. What's the big deal? Yeah, so I love money. So what? I'm not doing any evil. Okay. I mean, someone loves money in their heart. They can't love the Creator. They despise him. It's just already true. The Messiah says you cannot love the Creator and love money. It's not possible. That doesn't exist. It's either you will hate the one and be fond of the other, or despise the one and love the other. That's it. If this is real in the heart, then this. Very simple and clear and direct. It's nice to be in clarity. Oh, but it's torment to this world because it's the exact opposite. Just mixed, everything mixed. No big deal. It muddies up everything. The waters are muddy, full of blood. They don't see how big of a deal that one thing is. But here. I don't love money. Done. Walk away. Okay. That's how easy it is. And that's what people do with all the rest of his truth. Just that easy. It's a nasty thing to see. And they lie. If someone does have love in the heart for money and real things here, let's assume it's true. And then they say they don't. They just lied. It's not overcoming lies, and it's loving money, and it's connected to all kinds of other things too. Why is it a big deal? Why is it a big deal? Well, no one should complain for being in death and destruction, and when nations fall, they shouldn't complain. They can at least do that much, can't they? Okay, don't say it's no big deal then, no big deal. Just don't complain. Don't complain about anything. In the heart, don't say, why is this happening to me? I think we can even read almost word for word about not doing that. Yes, we can. It's somewhere. Out of a heart of like literally in unbelief. Why is this happening? Is it going to happen to his people? Yeah. And seeing it when it happens and not really doing it out of the same way we did before. Like the people of the world, why is this happening to me? They're like, that's their only understanding for real. It's despising what it's receiving. But it's never because of sin, is it? Never. No one actually reaps what they sow. It's just a catchphrase to sow money to the ministry. Messiah taught it first, not that, the first to understand, the first to be given, but it's in his word. All the teachings are already in his word. It always has been, even before Messiah was born. But he's the first to preach the kingdom of heaven and give understanding with understanding, unlike anyone else at the time. And he says, if someone accepts you, eat what they give you, because a worker is worthy of his wages. Because of what I've seen in this world with what they do with Apostle Paul, I've had the thought before, but then I've never done it because it's like a religious kind of thing to do, where it was annoying because people are claiming there's contradictions and all this. There's so many examples. I don't know how many. Whatever the Father has given understanding on what the apostle's saying, Messiah already taught it. He's only repeating, in simple words usually, but they are spiritual words often. That's how it's not understood. Just doing, finding out, yes, the apostle is obeying Messiah. Yes, he's not some false snake or something. Messiah in heaven, spirit, never contradicting a single thing. But, that's a big claim to so many people, because there's a bunch of people that will say that, there's some that are so strong. There's like, he's the anti-Messiah. I follow Messiah, not the apostle. And then they create their own stupid thing with this, where, they connect the apostle to the Catholic Church B system and say it started because of him. They built on this foundation, and quickly someone is off they go. It's like over. And the whole thing's false. If you start not doing evil, but if you quickly say, no, this foundation's messed up, these people all smoke with anger and rage. But in the meantime, tricking people, dividing, deceiving, saying, just casually saying, the apostle, there's already an image in someone's mind, already beliefs and things, and it's all wrong without being given understanding. But, people will do anything before get on their knees with their heart and seek the truth from the Creator, what truth is, and not what they believe or what they want to believe. And so people are, divided because of this, and not receiving the same thing with clarity and understanding and authority. Because whatever the Father gives it with authority, because he's the authority. And people don't like authority, They're not going to like this. They didn't like it. No, they didn't like Messiah at all. They noticed he spoke with authority, unlike the scribes, like we read. They're teaching there, right there for that. There's an understanding to be had with those verses right there, specifically. It's why we read it. And he's just giving what he's been given. We read, he says he gives what he's been given. And then he commands his disciples to do the same. Freely give as you are given. Don't hold back now or think you can use this for money. Now, if someone's doing work like this and someone accepts them in their house, it's okay. You can eat what they give you, because a worker is worthy of his wages. That's all. There's no more to this. This is nothing to do with fill up my money bag because I gave you gospel. Sick. Messiah teaches it right there. And it's like, no, So when the apostle repeats this, it was already taught, but it's been in his word, even going back to the scripture teaching it. Yeah, donkey. If the donkey does this much work on the field, it deserves, it has a right to eat something for it, have it go under some shelter or something. So then the worker is worthy of his wages. The apostle even saying, is the Creator saying this is just for the donkey's sake? No, it's not just for his sake, but it's for our sake. What is he saying there? Things that they don't read directly. People won't like it, because the Creator's not talking about a donkey all by itself, Although, naturally this thing applies, but it's teaching something greater, something that means something. So how do they know what it really means without being given? And every time something's given, that's what it's going to look like, something like that. You can't do that. You can't do that. You're just making stuff up. I was guilty of even saying that a few times at some point along the way. Yeah. You get to know something through mistakes and doing it, then you actually have some kind of understanding. When he gives you the right thing, now you know that specific bad thing because you did it. There's a lot of examples about working, the field, the earth, the field is the world, and the things that grow and sprout, the kingdom of heaven is something like this. There's many weeds sprouting and growing, but here and there's a wheat, and things are growing and things are being, harvested, separated spiritually. The good fish, bad fish, the wheat and the tares. Who sowed this? This must be an enemy. An enemy did this, Messiah is saying. So the enemy is sowing. Obviously pretty important to see something about this, The enemy is planting and sowing, doing a lot of work himself. Yes, and the Creator gives wages, somewhere in Proverbs, I think, to the wicked. But it's like a mockery. Someone could see it. Even the wages are given him yet to do evil. To do evil. Vessel of dishonor. Wages for working evil. The kingdom of this world. Not the kingdom from above, kingdom of heaven, but working in this world, and whoever becomes great in this world, and what this world means in this world, is even further from the Creator than someone that's lesser in this world. It's going backwards. And so all the kings of this world are not wise, and they're not smart, spiritually speaking. But even naturally, they're not that smart and great. It's not impressive anymore. But someone could have a specialization, in something, and you could give them that. Yeah, that's pretty good. This is true. But like the people are under a spell of like, wow, so wise, charming, charismatic, this or that, powerful. And they're not great at all. I mean, they're great in this world, but it's concerning real things. They're not that smart. They're not wise. They're even fools. Where even earthly things they're very stupid in. Certain things, like real bad. And then someone points and says, oh, I would never do that. But then they got something that someone's pointing at and saying, I would never do that. The Father has made the wisdom of this world foolishness. In order to rise up that much, someone has to be real, set up, separated from the Creator. Judgment's even stronger. The sin is even greater in the heart. The confusion's even stronger. They do a pretty good masquerade for none of that being true. But the problem is all of the proof for a believer, the world doesn't see any of it. All things spiritual, world's not seeing. Therefore, there's no proof at any point. You're just talking about things that don't exist. So you're the fool. His people are the fools. That's why the apostle says, become a fool quickly. I'm worried for you. You need to become a fool in this world. So then the only way is perceived as an idiot, an insane person. Now, is that what they teach? Is that what they, if you come in these church doors, the whole world's going to hate you and perceive you as a fool. It's going to get worse and worse in that direction. No one will understand you. Give me a break. They're teaching and giving the exact opposite, and the reality is the opposite because it's rebellion. And you can only, I see the deception for what it is, whatever I see. It's a deception, and the people are being deceived in it. And that's what the heart should be, is pity someone, want to help. Now, if someone doesn't want the help, that's it, okay. But this is not the carnal. Man's he's looking for sin and condemnation constantly, instead of looking for good, hoping for good, always hoping, always believing. What do we read there? Like the exact opposite. You become the opposite now. Now, if there's evidence that someone's an enemy, then what are we going to do? The setting apart needs to be so anyways, even if it's uncomfortable. This person's the enemy, they're doing these evil things. They're attacking and not acknowledging, not seeing, and they attack again, and it's, it's made clear, confirmed by the Creator, as he does do all that. Commended by the Creator. Then it just is what it is. People are going to hate it, but not hoping that's going to be the case, not praying and hoping that's the case. Big difference with the heart, what the heart's doing there. Huge difference. Evil or good, depending on what the heart's doing. With the Father's truth, it's already a given the world's blind and sick. And Messiah understands this because he's preaching the kingdom of heaven. And the Father's giving him understanding, and he has understanding. He already knows. But the world is always acting and believing it's good and not sick. So if you start speaking good, true things, they are offended, many. Why? Because of the evil that happens all day long. Someone can only say this or do this because they're doing this. And they just did that on someone that's not, even though they'd be right about everyone else that's an enemy of the Creator. Still themselves doing that, not seeing it ever. You're only doing this because you don't feel sorry for me. You're stepping on me, says the heart inside, to be seen spiritually. And then what looks like it might be okay, they turn and rage because they go, oh, yeah, that's what's going on. Yeah, that's why. Oh, yeah, he feels sorry. He's just stepping on me, using me like that. And so that's the only reason. That's the only way that carnal man can work. It truly is. And so then they rage, or attack in their heart. These things come in. And then the other person, if it's an enemy, lies and says whatever, and they attack back. They didn't want to do good out of just doing good. And then that's all that the world's ever seen. So if they see the right thing, which is right along next to the evil thing, it's going to look similar so many times, the words and things. This time it's real, which is the difference between having understanding or no understanding. And when they see the real thing, their mind and heart will do according to you doing evil, because that's all they know. I'm not saying someone will never believe, but this is what the heart and mind, seeing this up close. You see it without even people saying words. You just know that's what's going on. You can see it. Discerning the heart, seeing why someone's doing something. They never can think and believe that you see those secret things. They think you're blind already. The heart already believes you're blind as everyone else, as they are. Not realizing that, Messiah opens people's eyes. They were blind. That's true. So then it's going to behave and work based on these dark things things. Everything's perverted to a pervert. Good that someone does will be evil, inverted, because they've always had a sense, secret down inside somewhere, when someone helps them. It's just a fake thing going on. Thank you, yeah, thank you. So then when they see something different, actual care, where there was no care with all these other people that don't know him, it can't be that exists. So they'll trash it, attack it, say it's the perverted thing. So this is why the carnal man's eyes is never satisfied. John comes eating and drinking, or doesn't come eating and drinking. Messiah comes eating and drinking, and now he's saying he's some kind of wine bibber or whatever, drunk or whatever. It's accusing. One did, one didn't. They didn't accept either one of them, and everything is like that spiritually. That's the lesson. It's not about John himself and drinking or eating food. It's what the heart's doing there. It's doing that with everything. It doesn't accept anything. So what does it want? The help comes, the good comes, and they turn away and attack it. What does it want? Destruction. Yes, that's the only answer. It wants destruction. They can read about it in Scripture a lot. They chase the reward of Balaam, which is, destruction, because this is a false way, false god. Now, it's all being done out of delusion, but nevertheless, it's true. The works prove it. When someone rejects and hates someone doing them evil, but they also hate actual good, what do they want? Nothing else exists. What do they want? If they reject Messiah, what? What then? Where? Go to the other false prophet in Jerusalem? All the other people doing evil? Well, I want good. You just saw it and you rejected it. What do you want? You're never going to see it again. Someone can't comprehend that when they're doing these works, though. It's just speaking out of seeing it now. They're not seeing the same thing. Obviously, otherwise someone wouldn't do that, would they? So, Jehovah's Witnesses, someone, it's so annoying. It's frustrating. It's not an attack, carnal. Oh, now if you go away from Jehovah's, you're righteous. Nothing to do with that. Zero. But you have to use some kind of example and sin and things. And they're just examples. It's not about the literal thing ever. But everyone else in this world's already working according to the literal thing. I don't know how else to say it. It's already doing this with condemnation and attacking to justify its own thing. It's already working like that. So if they see you say, they already will assume these words. You must be doing what everyone else is. They're the ones that don't understand that putting on clean clothes now doesn't make you righteous because you follow someone's command to do that, and now you're done. Didn't fix anything by itself. All by itself, it did nothing. So then, okay, let's say someone's saying this is false. Okay, so then not being Jehovah's Witness now, but this, now you're righteous. This is the good thing. Then 10,000 other people are saying, their way. It's never about the one literal thing ever. Although there's always a connection for everything. They'd use his word like this constantly. It's blind. Because when the Father gives you to see something, it's disbelief. It's hard to believe, because out of clarity and truth, seeing clear whatever he's given, truth, he gives what this word means here and this, and it's not contradicting anything else, and you're seeing this and this, and then you see, what is this? And people actually see it, and there's no, but now you see the thing. and you can't believe that others aren't seeing it. It's a weird spiritual power spell. People will go on the website, people who want to believe in that, they will look at the words, trying to put it into words the best I can, what's going on in the carnal mind. They already have a heart for wanting something to be true. They find what they want. We've all been guilty of this. Hello. And then there's a few verses there for proof. Okay, that's the proof. Here it is. And they, so often not even look at them all, but let's say they do, and they skim and they read the verses real quick, and they're reading it wanting to believe it's true. And because of that, they're being punished to believe a lie and a delusion, and the verses don't prove anything that they're saying. It's happening all the time with everything, everywhere. Now seeing something out of clarity and going, what is this? And if you were to dig a little bit, those Jehovah Witnesses would start getting pretty darn angry. And I don't mean good anger. I don't mean anger without sin. Wouldn't want to know what's going on in the heart. What are they going to do? Say they're lying? That they just lied right there? It's not, Jehovah's Witnesses. Just what people do. When something is dug a little bit, saying, like, why is this, if it were to happen, I'm saying, this is what's going to happen. You find that stubbornness that it doesn't have answers. It just starts talking real loud and quickly, trying to cover everything up. Blah, 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 because it can't hear anything for self. And the only thing the Father's doing is constantly showing self is the problem. For real, not just saying catchphrases. Be the change you want to be. As Pinocchio's nose grows bigger than a mountain. There's nothing wrong with those words, like all by itself. I mean, it's said out of pride and all kinds of other, but the point is, it's like people don't even remotely believe what they say. Understanding it, start caring about it. It's set out of a delusion, be the change you want to be. It's shocking. It's doing the same damnable works with the heart, and murder and lying and stealing and cheating and robbing and wrath out of, evil hatred, condemning, pointing the finger. The person that says that, if you were to watch their life for 1 month, it is zero better than anyone else's heart. But because they say these words, this is how deception works. And because someone says these words, it can't be that I'm bad. I say these words. They bank on their cover. It's like everyone already knows how to do that. They already know how to do that. They're banking on the cover. No one can point at Bill Gates and say he's wicked, although it's not about pointing at some name and saying wicked. It's not about that. But, because he gives a lot. That's their cover. If someone even tried to say something, I'm just saying, it would look crazy to the blind world, because, hello, this is proof that he's good. That is the world's carnal proof that someone's good. Sounding the trumpet, doing the sin, is their proof that they're good. It's crazy. So if you were to speak about this thing, what this really means, blowing the trumpet and all this stuff, it's a secret place, doing it in the dark, go in the closet, because the Father's in the closet. Can't be found in the open, not in this world. Then he'll reward you openly, and when he rewards you openly, people will be disgusted. Well, there's a little light shining. He just got rewarded because he did something that was right. The Father told him it has nothing to do with anyone else. Zero. Nothing to do with showing off or showing someone, just doing actual good out of sincerity, whatever someone's been given to do. And they'll be disgusted at this reward openly. It's all backwards. But no, show it openly and be punished inside. Try to hide it. Yes, it's backwards. Show how good it all is and out in the open, and be punished inside. rebuked right to their face. We read this, the Creator's rebuking people right in their face. I believe in a God that's like, there's a power up there, but, it's not personal. It's just like some kind of power. And that's somebody's wisdom, and they walk away, and they'll have debates and all this stuff. The whole foundation's messed up. It's not their fault, and yet everyone's accountable for what they do. That's going to sound weird to this world because they're not understanding anything. The Father's works, why he's doing what he's doing, that it's all working out to something pretty darn good at the end, but hey, who cares? Preach the good news. Hell is coming for all eternity. Yeah, there's a judgment, all right. Can't ever speak smooth words to make people feel good with that intention to make them feel good is evil. It's sin, because you're trying to create some kind of image and then a reaction. When a work is done like that, it's evil. How often is it being done, I wonder? When isn't it being done? They don't know the good way. They're not seeing it themselves, so in this way, it's like there's no condemnation over here. There's no blame. We just know why and what it's doing. That's all. Doesn't change that it's calling sin for sin, though. They can read it in their scriptures over and over. The prophets will say, whenever they're given to, whenever the time's right, whatever, this is sin, right? And people will hate it. John the Baptist, I think he got his head cut off for doing something like that. The world persecutes just saying truth, nevertheless, understanding already why someone doesn't believe and they're confused, and still being very stern on the evil. Say, this is evil, man. So these two things both going right next to each other without one contradicting the other or putting one away, using scripture to throw down another. Didn't stop Messiah from saying, you snakes, you devils and hypocrites. You do wickedness all day long. That caused some fire. He's just speaking truth. He knows why they don't come. He knew people can even if they have zero understanding, you give them all the right words in scripture, and they can still see. They don't want to see it though, but they could see something. Even with the words just by itself with no understanding, spiritual understanding. He says, why don't you come? I want you to come. And we know why. We have the scripture. We have his words. They're not of him. He knows that already. And yet he's still saying, you're doing evil. This is what's going on. This is evil. Nevertheless, how can anyone deny this very thing right here? They can't. There's too many. That's all the scriptures show. To try to desperately find one verse and then say teaching the backwards thing is insane. When someone does that, they're being punished. They have to understand. When someone's desperately trying to go against 50 clear scriptures to find one verse that contradicts the 50 that are clear, they're being punished. Therefore, what is the result of this? The one verse they find will be utterly, totally stupid and has nothing to do with contradicting those other 50. Not just because someone can't see it, it doesn't mean, what I just said isn't true. Because that's what he's been showing me. We have to be given. We're so blind. When he gives you, then it's like a shock. Then it's a shock. Wow, that's insane what they're doing. But they believe because in a delusion, the punishment is to believe something stupid that has no reality to it. So they'll see that verse as they want to see it. But in reality, to those that have eyes to see, out of truth and clarity, will see the foolishness pouring out while they think it's wise, and they contradict 50 other scriptures. And it's blatantly obvious. It's horrible obvious. But they think it's good. And they're okay with one verse throwing down 50 also. They can't see that. They can't see that. I mean, forget how it looks right now. Then there's this other thing. One verse throws down 50 others just because I said so today. I'm done. Walk away. One verse trumps 50. Sounds a little backwards. It's happening all the time, man. Nobody's learning his judgments, man. This is real. Father's real. He exists. It seems funny to say that, but like the world is like so confused. His judgments exist. It's always been there in his word. I mean, it's like scary how, so many things are repeated over and over. This exists too. It's a good thing. Or maybe a slightly different angle, but nevertheless, multiple times, like that's also showing. Like no one's ever going to be able to say anything against the Creator. You read the Bible 10 times and saw zero, nothing, but they won't be able to say it wasn't there all along, even right in his word, his judgments, that the people don't want his judgments. They don't care about it. They don't want to learn. They don't believe in it. And, everything else, his commandments that Israel doesn't want to keep. The many called don't want to have anything to do with his commandments. It's not what religion thinks and what this world thinks. Read the Bible and you understand. It's actually the exact opposite. Can't understand without being given. Because the Creator's truth is so incredibly offensive, man. It's amazing. And when he's given me things to see, like, no, this can't be. Nobody would believe it. They would think it's crazy and they'd attack it. Yep, and true anyways. He's doing the exact opposite of what the world is saying. It's crazy with free will and everything. His word is showing that with Israel as a whole. They had zero spiritual understanding. It wasn't given to them at the time. But they're the examples of naturally hating his commandments. It's for us. All his word is true. But they can't rightly divide between natural and spiritual, flesh and spirit. And then this exists everywhere in his word. Where, yes, here's the examples where they build gods and worship idols and all these things. And it's speaking of natural things. So often we're reading the natural thing, the earthly thing, the foundation, heaven is the footstool, foundation. Heaven is, or earth is his footstool, heaven is his throne. Like a giant house or something. And you just step on the earth to get to the higher thing. So yeah, the earth is important. But now I'm not talking about dirt. There's a spiritual understanding and it's all over his word. This very thing, heavenly and earthly, Like reaching on a footstool. Please, I need to go higher. So it's offensive because what people call important, you just step on as if it's nothing to get to the heavenly things. But it's not what they perceive. Trashing it. No, it's actually important. Without stepping on the footstool, you can't go higher. See? But it's offensive to them because of what the world seeks with its heart. You're stepping on now, learning to step on it. Oh yeah, okay. Seek the kingdom and you'll have these things. Yeah, don't think about them. Don't put them in your heart. It's not about this. Oh, that's a big deal. That includes life. That verse right there. That's life, all of life in every detail with it. Just casually read in religion or something, no big deal. Not seeing the gravity of it, not seeing anything. The Gentiles seek these things. You seek the kingdom of heaven, something completely different, higher. And you'll have these things that the Gentiles, the sinners, the unbelievers, seek with their heart. They're after, they're chasing. Therefore, they don't have heavenly things. And they're in destruction spiritually. You seek the kingdom of heaven. The Creator knows you need certain things, these things. And if you do this, he'll make a way where you'll just have the things you need, period. According to his definition, not our own. So what would this be like in the heart? Well, not just saying words. You actually, it is according to what we say and believe in the heart. And people and unbelievers, you can't teach someone this. Or the heart, for real, he has it according to people's word. Okay, you say, okay, go out and get pig food and eat pig food then. And so then they do. I mean, this isn't a joke. So it matters what someone says. It's according to what they say. Okay, have it this way. They don't know who he is. So then if the heart for real is saying, I don't want what I want, whatever you say is not too much or too little, or whatever you say means I will have these things. And breaking down our own foundation and definitions, crumbling. The earth is shaking while I'm saying these words. The heavens are shaking. Because this is the very thing people run from. It's a big deal. It's not easy. And then when the heart's doing this, he's going to start, he does the works. It's going to start becoming reality. Like they say, careful what you wish for. So it does matter. Every word, what the heart believes. It doesn't happen in one day. But nevertheless, he'll work it out like Abraham. A little different than the next guy, but learning all the same things. You don't know what's next. And we can even read it directly, or somewhere, the apostle, somewhere in scripture, and many examples where don't know what the future holds, Don't worry about it. Why the command not to worry about it? Because it's going to be a little frightening to actually follow the Father's will. Because I don't know what's next. What if it requires a pretty big change? Am I going to resist it? What's it going to do? And this change might not be someone else's change right this minute. That's where the damnable thing comes in. And then still needing to understand the importance of, oh man, it's a mess. You can't teach anyone. I'm glad we don't have to. I'm talking about really teaching. I mean, there's no way to do it. No. And anybody that's been given understanding by the Father, they are probably already seeing that too. There's no way you can give what he's given. Even though that everything he gives is simple, it's still, the world's so blind, it needs to be given. That's just that simple. It's something that you see in spirit, and then you say the words the best you can of the understanding you see. And you find out religion uses these words quite a bit for so many things, and they go nasty. Because when they say it, it has no perception or understanding, and it's doing the backwards thing spiritually. So they've taken over the truth and become it. And we can't do any better. You have to speak with words, right? To speak, you speak words, and then you speak what you see for understanding given, and it comes out in words. All the enemy has to do is copy and paste the literal words, which anyone can do, and masquerade as messengers of light, and pollute it. They say some right words, like everyone says hell, so it takes away the sharpness of hell. I mean, that's like a delusion what they're saying, because they're talking about torment forever with it. But there's something true about that. So even that's like a perversion, because it's like a lie mixed with a little bit of hidden truth. But the thing is a lie, but I see that some truth in it. You have to pull out of that lie. They muddy up the waters with everything and with religion. They say the words over and over again, and so then it's not special or anything. So you walk away with the sad face, realizing this is how it has to be, and learning how to have a smile face instead of sad face. Well, it's this crazy. But someone that's got a lot of pride inside, it's so full of pride. Just because the whole world's doing what they do still, when they see something good, anything, it must be prideful, just like they are. That's how it's got to be perceived. That's it. So, and it is. It is perceived as foolish and prideful and insane. All his truth. Stubborn little kids getting together and screaming at the adults, like they don't know what they're doing. But there's so many little kids that it doesn't matter. It's like 9/11. Only a few people were literally around those buildings, and only a few, in contrast to the world, saw with their physical eyes what happened or heard things with their physical ears. If there was some explosion on the bottom before anything else, things like that. And saw with their eyes. But since all the world saw it on TV, who cares what those people say? They won't be heard. So it is for Messiah's people, that it's the way it is. It's like muddying everything up because the enemy is so weeds everywhere. Weeds choke out the little plant. Some of them choke out like this because of the pressure spiritual from the world and everything around it. And it dies because there's weeds, worldly things all around it. And it doesn't want to go this way. It knows something about it, a little bit about it, that it requires this uncomfortable persecution, all these things. It knows something about it, a little bit, and it is offended at the sun, the only thing that can make it grow. The plant dies. It's offended at the sun in the natural picture here. The only thing that can make it grow. Test it, heat, spiritual heat testing. Pressure, real pressure, not just words to say in religion's walls, where there'll be situations where, what am I going to do? And it's a big deal. There's pressure. Am I going to do this or that? Now I have enough knowledge to some degree about this one thing. What am I going to do? And you go, you did this to me. What have you done? You set me up to choose this thing now. What am I going to do? And this is like, pressure, real faith. It's nothing to do with reality and religion. Faith is just a word. It's empty and void. We're talking about real things where you literally don't know. And it's pressure. It's real spiritual pressure. And you go anyways with whatever it is. You just say, I believe the Creator will do. They could say the words what faith is, casually saying, but when it comes to reality, I find they're offended. Seeing reality, it's offended. Oh, I didn't think anyone actually did that. It's amazing. You're going to die. You're going to drown. You're going to be a loser. Nobody. I know your way. I was like you once. Scary to hear that. I was like you once. That way is only destruction. Ooh, that way is only, you won't be rich and famous. We're not even necessarily famous, but that way over there, you're not going to make it. They pour out their folly without even realizing it. That's what they really think of the narrow way and Messiah and the Father with their heart. They know something about it. They don't want to be reminded, though. Don't remind the fall and destruction. And then it needs to constantly do things to try to forget the rest of its life. And so be it. That's what it will be for the many. Not here to put a gun to someone's head and say, do this or else I'll rip your skin off and, saw your legs off and torture you for all eternity. Although his judgments are severe, nevertheless, right alongside this lie, his judgments are severe for severe sins. Yes, they are. Are people getting what they deserve? No. No, that's wicked. So then when they say reap what you sow, it don't mean anything. No, I don't see it. It doesn't mean anything. Do they actually see that and believe it? I don't see it in the heart, in this world, all over the world, or all around here in this world, I don't see it. If you were to start speaking out of truth and clarity about sin and what it's causing and reaping, sowing, out of truth, reality and not just some weird cover, people get angry. Once again, they start getting angry. So are you saying God did this? Have you ever read scripture? Person and this person and that person in religion, what did those false prophets do to you? Open anywhere, and you'll likely read about judgments on sin. Does the Creator do this? Yes, he does. Wake up. What do they say? Smell the coffee. Oh, man. Feel sorry for it in a way. But then again, needing to learn not to in a certain way that the world does. Because if someone's doing sin and evil continually, you can't want like righteous, good, actual rewards, good rewards for sin. Can't have that. Yeah, the teachings are in there. Don't pray for this people's good. Have you seen what they've done? Look at all the evil they do. Don't pray for these people's good. There's a certain understanding there that will offend, make it sound like we're evil, and they can read it. Well, Old Testament, Israel, we're Christians. It's despising his word. It's getting angry now. It needs to find a back door and try to throw it down. That's what they do constantly. That word doesn't apply to them. It doesn't mean anything. It's not true to them right now, right this minute. It's true. So how do you attack this? Well, here's how you attack that specific thing. Oh, you hate your enemies. Don't pray for the good for these people. Not seeing the specific thing about this and reality about it. Not seeing any of it. You hate your enemies. You wish them evil. They're talking about themselves perfectly. About what their heart does constantly, secretly. But they need to do that to throw down something they don't want to hear or like. That's true. See? That's evil. That's serious lies and deception, even using his word for the lie and deception. Casually like that. They already put a sin on you that you hate enemies and wish them evil, all these things, right? Out of all being evil. These are bad things, sin. They already put that on you. This is what you mean by this verse. It's crazy what they do. So what do they really say? No, they're saying the Creator is this. His word is this, but they can't. No, because I say it's not, it's not. Yes, they are. They can't see that they're doing that. They're saying the Creator is that. His word is that. His truth is that. They're saying he's evil. It's no surprise. That's all that his word teaches. Enmity. So those in actual enmity towards the Creator, they believe he's evil. They don't want to hear about him. They don't know him. Nothing. It's all evil. It's bad. That's how backwards it is. Nobody believes it in there. They're not seeing it. Someone doing those works constantly won't be able to see that they believe. He proves they believe the good is evil, and all the stern things. They're especially offended at what isn't stern or serious. With all his word is hard words, but certain things like even more so, I think. Where it's like, oh, that's real evil. You're wicked. And then on the surface, on the outside, they say the words that make it sound like they care, and they're actually doing sin by doing that. But inside they don't at all, zero. And then doing the Creator's way, saying these things that will cause hatred. And on the inside, it has no hatred that they're claiming. They can't discern the heart. That's what's happening. They literally can't discern the heart of his people. The kings of the heart are unsearchable. It's not because they're good or something. It's just true. It's not because they're good of themselves. Nevertheless, it's true. The spiritual man judges all things. He himself is judged by no one. Darkness can't judge light. It can't even do it, period. It just can't. So when it points a finger and it calls good evil, here's what it looks like. Darkness, the dark sky is pointing to the light sky and going, wicked, which is to say it's got darkness in it. It's evil. It's darkness. It's wicked. Oh, you're in darkness. Yeah, you're doing evil and sin. And it's just nothing but light. And it's speaking of itself. It can't ever judge the light. Now, this can't be used. Like, this is what people will do with certain words and things. Because they say these words, they hide under the cloak of these words. Oh, because I say this now, I can never do the thing I'm saying. That's such a damnable lie. And expose that crap. I've seen people do it. Something about it because the severe pride will do this. Pride will lead to things like this. Or just because you say something that sounds wise or even made true words, whatever, because you say it now, it's not happening ever. Can't happen ever. And it hides like this. So now we need the understanding, and now you also can't do this. Pretty crazy, isn't it? Where's the path? Where is it? I don't see it. And then, boom, I see it, because the Creator just makes a path that you couldn't see. For every understanding, there's a certain thing now that we're also seeing that you so easily could do, and now you're not supposed to do that either. It's like, what? You crazy? Is the Father crazy or what? And it's not even your own works, but nevertheless, you got to go through it, do it. But what you can never say, we can't do it, because then we're going to say the Creator can't do it. That's what someone's really doing in the heart without realizing it. It's part of the miracle. It's part of showing him his power. I don't know. Is doing the impossible constantly. But somebody dressed all in black, man, like they like to do often, it seems like, and they black cloaks and black things and black graduations and black everything, man. Or darkness. Black Jews over there, I mean, wearing black, not speaking of the skin, but like in Jerusalem, whatever. Black, everywhere black. It's not about the color, but it's like it's pouring out its folly to some degree. Like, yeah, there's darkness, yeah. They're doing evil. Did I get an order? No. Oh wow, it's 12:30. Okay, I guess I was done a half hour ago for my. I went late today. I'll do that sometimes. Nobody else was covering it, so The beast is always calling. I have no idea what comes next. It's never going to be the same. That's something he's showing me. It's always going to be uncomfortable. It's like, oh, it's just a matter of time before the next crazy thing happens that you have no clue what it will be. And it's like one step closer to doing his works. And I'm just wondering if it's going to keep going until you don't even work for the B system anymore. I don't know. Now, it probably doesn't get much more uncomfortable than that, to somebody. Not commanding, not saying to do that, but I mean, these thoughts have come to me quite a bit. It's usually not an accident when they start coming in. It's like a little bit of scratching something. I don't know, man. I don't know. That's the thing. Literally don't know. I mean, I do read. It seems like that's what his people end up doing. I mean, some more, some less. But I don't know. Is it for all of them exactly like that? Some things I just don't know right now. Just admitting. And it's very evil to command it, man. That's some pretty serious, evil. Like somebody's in the world, they're just coming out of the world. Oh, do this crazy thing, do this perfect thing now. And they can't. They spiritually can't do it. Literally spiritually can't do it. They're not built up yet to do something maybe they will do in the future, but they can't do it now. In the example here, if that's the case. It's there's a lot to do, but in the heart, but there's like a lot to do. It's weird. I know the carnal man doesn't see anything really. So it has to create its own ways of looking like it's doing a lot of things. And there is some truth to, because there is a lot to do, but not the way the natural man is doing and thinking that means. It's backwards. Like, look how righteous I am. I need to do 10,000 things to show everyone. That's the backwards thing, literally. Someone comes out of that bit by bit. It could be I'm doing something that I don't see that's lining up with these words, because it's just the way it is. Well, saying this thing, the backwards thing, whatever is good and true, that going away from that, well, that's the perfect thing now. But it doesn't mean just because someone's saying the words that now they have completed the perfect thing. Nevertheless, I could say it. I know it. But it has nothing to do with self, already finished, done. And whatever someone doesn't know, they don't know. Seems good that way anyways. It's like, if you don't know, you don't know. You don't talk about what you don't know. Hopefully, it goes in that direction. Well, he gives you enough to see you don't know something. That's an important thing too. How do you know if you know? And how do you know if you don't know? Get confusing really quick. As soon as someone trusts the man and trusts people out there in this world, they will be confused. And so the direction is going away from that, but trusting the Creator more and asking Him for everything more and more and more. And it'll look like something. It won't happen in one day. Nevertheless, we say that and it's the perfect thing, but the perfect thing's not done right this minute. It's supposed to be growing. Someone could look back and see some kind of, spiritual growth, change. And the things you'd used to do, like, oh, I can't do that anymore. And I know I can't. As an example, taking in a lot of things, reading, going around all over, reading things, hearing things, peoples and things, which has nothing to do with not listening to someone. Zero. But a specific thing of in the heart believing, reading because of doubt. I think that's what a lot of it is, needing to reassure itself and never getting it from above, until we do. And that's not good, but I know that's what happens though, and that's what has to happen before it doesn't start happening, it starts going away. And so it'll look like something, and for me it looks like not reading and looking and searching and doing like quite a bit different. So I'm like, what do I do now? When there's more time, it seems like now, if I'm not doing all that. And then he eventually answers to do something instead, something that man doesn't want to do, which is like do his works, whatever this is. I could see the torment. Yeah, it's a struggle still, even knowing this. Like, well, you just have to say, I can't do it. I know this is the right thing. So fill in whatever is not wanting to do, make it go away. Yeah, it's a struggle. Which is it's a sacrifice. Which is do good all the time, like the perfect thing, what I'm saying? Whatever the perfect thing is. It's like the exact opposite of what our life was in the world. That's a pretty big change. Yeah, so there's things right now ahead of me, for example, that I don't know. I can't see it, but just enough belief that too bad, it doesn't matter, because it doesn't mean there's not a way, or that people think it's a joke or something. Man, we literally don't know, don't see it. But that shouldn't stop someone from turning back, That's exactly what it's supposed to be like. And how am I going to do this or that in the future, or whatever it is someone's going while struggling with, whatever, anything. And it's just a little bit increase every day, or without even realizing it, because growth is like, you don't see your hair grow when you look at it right this second, and it's growing right this minute. It has to. If it's not growing right this second, then it can't be an inch longer, 3 months later or whatever, or 6, I don't know. Wouldn't that be true? Is there any point it's not growing? Someone might say, well, in 0.0001 milliseconds, forget that garbage. The point is, it's always growing. It's real slow. And before you know it, your hair is like a certain length, and oh man, it's long now. What is this? So I know that's going to always be there. Someone might question themselves. And there's a lot to do. There's a lot of sin to overcome, and a lot of good works to do. Well, some more, some less, but compared to what our world was, a lot. Now, from one person to another, some more, some less. Compared to Egypt, yeah, there's a lot of good to do now. Compared to that, just saying Egypt, slavery, I'd say for everyone, there's a lot to do, even if it's 30-fold or 60, or some 100. Yeah, it hurts to hear people like say these things. And I know it's out of deception. It's using it to try to make itself look like it's the right way, which is not doing the Father's will at all. Well, maybe we're just 30-fold. Like, we're not talking about that. Oh, I hate it. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. I can't imagine their doctrine. Can you imagine it being true? It's already bad enough watching people be in destruction and blind, let alone like some kind of hopeless thing for all eternity. It's crazy. But this is the care that the Creator gives his people. So it doesn't make sense when we read it without understanding at all. The apostles, like, it's, you just use these words and make it sound like they're lost and doomed forever. It kind of sounds like that if someone wants to believe that. It's because it's a big deal right now. It's a big deal right this minute. The Creator cares right this minute, right now. When? Later? Tomorrow? That doesn't even make sense, really, once we understand. See, what 20 years from now? Skipping now always. So then 20 years from now, 20 years from then, never, now. Yeah, people's destruction is not good right now. And how his people are doing right now. When did Israel get told all this? Is like a teaching all by itself. When did everything we read with Israel, for example, when was it for? During their life, meaning just because we're not literally the same people back then. The point is during our life right now. That's what's important. And we actually have direct, something clear and simple, where Messiah is speaking to the woman. Yeah, Lazarus will be like resurrected on the last day, last great day, on the last day. And he says, but if you believe in me, if you believe in me now, even if the word's not there, I don't know if it is. It's the contrast. I know that's what I know it's what it's teaching. I see it. Because one thing is way in the future, and now he's responding with the contrast. The important thing right now, if you believe in me, you'll not die. It's important now. So there's no denial of the things to come. It's just that compared to now, it's not important. If you skip the now, it's like, why talk about that? And so what's the world do the backwards thing constantly? What about sin right now? And what about all these other things right now? It's not important to talk about things in the like future to come. And then that's it. Like, that's it. That's the understanding. In the meantime, lost in this world, of the world, in the world, not doing the Father's will at all. But just saying something about something to come, this teaching or that thing, this is done with, like, I don't know, the rapture or whatever. Judgment. Like a fire. And Christianity's understanding on resurrection, it's confusion. There is like no which one, what is it? Because, immortal souls, for the most of them, that will say that. It's like there's no actual clear answer, like from seeing from clarity, reality. Well, I know they'll answer something, they'll have to answer, but it's confusion. Is there a resurrection or is there not? Do the people need that or do they not? It is one or the other. Because if not, then no one ever actually dies. It's just like a trick, and that's not who the Father is. He doesn't do those little sins that people do constantly. That's what the world does. Every little word, it's not a trick or a deception. He never does this. People could put it on his word and say, this is what no, it's not. For example, somewhere in scripture says for someone, they died. It's not a trick. That's the opposite of living. It's not even, it's this could be applied with all kinds of other things where there's trickery, deception going on. That's like already implying that that's what the Father's doing. I know they don't say that. They will be careful to say like the Father's deceiving people on purpose with evil intentions. I'm not going to likely hear that, but being implied. They don't see why it's a big deal, how spiritual destruction and leaven works. So I feel like I'm just going insane in this world. And I know it's got to be like that. The things that are becoming important and you care about and you see how it's working. And like it becomes like a desperate need to do good. That's what it should be. It's like the world is set up so that his people can do good works for, that he prepared. Instead of desperately wicked, the Father Spirit's like desperate to do good and help people. If they could only see this, the things it teaches is monstrous. Or all the things of the fruits of the Spirit they don't comprehend spiritually that's who the Father is. All those things that they can read, we can read. And what love is not, what love is, what love is not, that we could read. The Father is all those things. Here's what love is not. The Father's not any of these things. Here's what love is. This is what he is. All these fruits of the Spirit, and you see each individual thing. And if there's some understanding on each individual thing, it's so massively evil and impossible. The Creator has nothing to do with darkness. He's not that. But there's no love or care. It's like, I don't know. There's just no love or care for it. Just casually do whatever, say whatever. No big deal. The Father's not envious. He's not jealous. Now, right away, people, what I've seen them do is he's jealous, and then the people get angry from church and churches, and it's like they're implying that he's evil. So you ask them then, if someone ends up with this situation, are you saying he's evil? Is that what you're trying to say? And they couldn't see one step ahead of themselves, because when someone's doing evil, the Father blinds them. You could see the expression like, oh crap, I didn't see that. I didn't think you, and it's not complicated. It's not out of pride. It's just simple truth, clarity. And now, what are you saying? He's evil? Is that what you're trying to say? Or hatred? Then Father is not hatred. And when they could read the fruits of the Spirit and all these things, and what evil works of the flesh. One of them is hatred. That's the works of the flesh. The Father's not flesh. He's not works of the flesh, sin. So then I can say with clarity, and no, the Father is not hatred. And someone goes, oh, I'll show you. He hates all who work iniquity, and he burns Sodom and Gomorrah. What are you saying? They actually are saying he's evil. That's their heart's intention and understanding. But if you ask them that, they never can admit that. So you go, are you saying he's evil? Isn't that what you're implying and saying spiritually? That's the only conclusion then. They can't admit that. So it's like, I'm stuck in, anger. It's shocked. Like, oh crap. I didn't plan this out very good. So it's just about self, isn't it? What self-knowledge and things like that. It's not speaking out of his spirit, The man doesn't make a pretty good show for looking something like the real. But compared to the Father and who he is, it's not actually close. But in a blind world, looking like something, it works. And yet it doesn't work. It tricks people and works like that. So they're only thinking of what words to say to look good. This is such a massive darkness to be doing that. And it doesn't look that bad, you know. You bring out this sin and it sounds crazy in this world because what's the big deal? Eat your cheeseburger and go on. It's not like you shot someone in the head. You know, they're not seeing anything. Yeah, that's a big deal. If they could see his judgments on and start learning what sin is, that's a huge deal. It's a deception. It's lies. It's hatred. Teaching neighbors and people lies and not helping them, but only continuing the deception and darkness, you know, putting on them. Does spiritual damage. It does. And so the Pharisees are thinking of what to say next. They don't actually care or speaking out of their heart truth, you know, good from above. They're thinking what to say to look good and like calculate their religious doctrines. But there's a lot of things religion says that we'll say, and they're not all bad words. But man, is it doing something completely different? And it's you can't see through the tricks unless the Father starts giving us to see through the enemy's tricks, covers, direction, what they're trying to make the crowd do and want. All these different things, you start seeing some of it, and it's real nasty. That's why we read Keep Your Mind on Good Things, because there's too much of this going on everywhere. So yeah, I've had this problem trying to work it out, to not think about what other people's evil thoughts are thinking, you know, like to not care about that, not focus on that, because then it's going to be tempted to sin, because that's how the carnal man works, you know, trying to come out of this. Oh, that guy thinks he did this, he's making me look bad, he's making me do, and you're not. Nope. Supposed to just do what's right. Yeah, and yet there's a divider. Sin is sin, darkness is darkness, and there's no mercy on darkness as far as that goes. There's no mercy concerning certain understanding. Light has nothing to do with darkness, and yet not doing the person evil with the heart, vengeance. This is a fine line. Not hating them, because the Father's not hatred. Not hating them out of this kind of carnal, wicked hatred, and yet still being set apart from the evil itself and the darkness and evil that's going on. You must learn to hate it while not hating them. I mean, how does someone do that? And so then the world tries to drag you into what you think they're thinking about you or something, and what they're doing, which is like dark works, and your mind is thinking on what someone else is thinking about what they're thinking of you, and it starts sucking you into what isn't it going to cause anger, wrath inside. There's a way out of this, you know. People, what is that what the world is praying for? Is that what the, you know, churches and ministers and things, is this what they're really praying for with their heart? But the world doesn't, it's already out of a belief that there is no other way or comprehending anything else. It just doesn't know better. Whatever looks impossible, it's supposed to, and he makes it possible. So that even for things like this, specific laws or commandments or sins, there's things that look impossible. So it's not just like one thing. He makes the crooked path straight. That's like applied to all kinds of things. Small things, bigger things, one grand thing, and branches out, you know. Certain sin, How do you do it? How do you make a way straight? Don't see it. It's all we ever saw was darkness. How do you start actually doing the right thing for real? How to do it, and then how to do it, and then how to actually do it. The knowledge and then the ability, power. Two things. How to do it, and then how do you have the power to do it? And when someone has his life, they see when it starts shrinking because of sin. I'm just using the words to try to explain what happens. We don't like it, and it's too easy. Seems too easy to like slip a little or get a little dark or foggy. And as soon as it gets a little foggy, you don't have the same confidence. You don't hear from him the same way. Where it's not cut off, but it's like not the same. And so somehow the Creator is using this for punishment for sin, while it's for our benefit to learn what sin is so that we don't do it and then do the good thing. But for the unbeliever, it's just destroying them. And reaping what you sow, it's just destroying. But for the believer, it's destroying, cutting off the hand, cutting off the eye. They're being destroyed too, but it's working out for good instead of just being destroyed. It's like painful. You're paying for knowing the Creator, paying for your sins. But that's the only way someone can grow then, is through finding out what they're doing, sin, then cutting off, then pain, destruction in a good way, and then growing more, and then again and again and again. It's like, will I ever get there? It's like a little kid in the back of the van saying, are we going to get there yet? Are we going to get there? When are we going to get there? It's funny because these things come to my mind, so many different examples like that. Like a kid, such like a kid with the parents, but something like that, not literally the same exact thing, but something like that with the Creator and then his, people, higher, greater spiritual things and everything. But there's the picture right there. Oh, unless we read that he's called the Father for no reason, just Father. He's not actually anything to do with what Father is, some earthly example here. Isn't it crazy? Sad world, blind. It can't comprehend something so simple. And look how it doesn't take much wisdom at all. And yet his wisdom, is beyond understanding, but whatever he gives us is wisdom, but his truth is not incredibly complicated once it's given. But you could say these words to someone that's lost still, assuming they are, for an example here. And they won't see it, it won't mean anything, it won't hit them until he gives it. Then they go, wow. And it wasn't that complicated. Tell Hitler the father is like a father, he's a good father. And examples with the kids, and what is it? Few minutes later, it's back to just full blown evil, not seeing anything, and then let's go kill people. It's weird. It's a blinding. It's a severe blinding. That's the only thing. That's the only explanation, actually, spiritually, is that it's a severe blinding. It's not that his truth is complicated. And that's just how blind everyone is. I guess how else could he show us he does all these good things? Like doing the impossible constantly without being in a ditch first in darkness. It's like you have to start there. and then you increase until the day dawns. But then the world's like decreasing, and it's sad. But even that's all being worked out somehow for perfectly beyond comprehension. Individually, every little detail for the grand thing, everything. Without the vessel of dishonor, Father can't show certain things, or he's showing certain things through vessel of dishonor, like Pharaoh. How does he show his people these things over here without that guy over there that's disobedient? I mean, it wouldn't happen, would it? The way it is now. Through Pharaoh, he shows his power, his honor, glory. Through, not that he's doing like literal evil with the intentions of the heart evil, but through the evil, through vessels of dishonor, through many being blind, you start contrasting that with like it's obviously given, it's obviously blind, we start seeing this is shocking, crazy. So his words just start standing. It's like standing out. His word starts standing out as insanely, perfectly true, stunningly true. When we see these, start learning real things in the heart, what it's doing, and the blinding, and start seeing what it is. So through all the people that are blind still, he's showing something pretty darn good through them. So see, that's why we can't shake the fist and go, because I'm convinced whatever he's giving us, it still doesn't comprehend whatever it really is. Still lacking. Whatever he gives us isn't, it's just like a piece of it. And I know this takes like some kind of understanding, like humble, because the prideful man, there's like nothing he doesn't understand. There's nothing that I don't understand or can't understand. If I think about, try me. Try me. But that's not reality, man. I know that's he's shown me. Now you just acknowledge there's things you can't see. But I'm saying it must be way greater than whatever he is giving us to see still further yet. Who knows how strong the veil is until it starts being taken out. There's a veil, the temple, torn veil, separation from in his temple. In the temple, the person, there's a veil, spiritual veil. And this veil existed spiritually all the way until Messiah. And now it's still true for unbelievers, but it's torn in that, someone believing. It's torn in that there's a few now, and this kingdom's not stopping until it's torn for everyone. The veil's a separation, a hiding, like a woman hides her face or something, wedding or something. He's hiding. But now there's a few that whoever he gives. And it's like that veil being torn, where you start seeing what was like a literal cover. I can't see, there's a cover in the way. Oh, wow, that's what was behind it. But spiritually speaking, there's things to be seen that, were never seen. So then these things are, Israel was under this veil. All of them, all the saints had this veil. Spiritually, talking about real, what the veil really is, always is. Even the saints of old had this veil still. They couldn't see what the disciples started to see, those that are in Messiah, as an example. Not because we're better. Far from that truth. Far from that. It's not because anyone's better. It's just true. That's all. But look how quickly someone could point and say, pride, wicked, wicked. And it's just true. What do you want to do? It's the only truth I know. What do you want me to do? Lie? Say the opposite thing, which I know is a lie? Then I'm doing evil? I know I'm doing evil for myself and to the Creator. denying Messiah by purposely lying. But that's how it goes. Don't know of any other thing. Once truth is truth, it's truth. What other truth? This is it. This is what I see. But they don't see that, so that's like it's a confusion. So then it's attacking constantly. The enemy's attacking. We have to start not attacking that same kind of way, which is a process. So serious tribulations within. And, maybe physical, whatever, but it's always a tribulation within. It's like the earth is shaking and things are burning and it's going crazy, man. If someone could even comprehend just a little bit of the real tribulation, it's real. But I remember saying something about this a few years ago, the words, and now saying the same words, but I'm seeing it. Well, it makes more sense. It's more clear. It's more true. It's more powerful. So whatever someone thinks they know, they should never think that's it. No. And the words are the same. It's weird. It's strange. It's the same words as 3-4 years ago. And now it's like, okay, now some more pressure and testing has come lately. Oh man, this is worse than I thought. It's increasing. Oh, these words mean even more now. They're like sticking out even more. And like that with any of his word. It's this crazy thing he's doing. There's too many things I can't say. Like it wants to blow up. The mind wants to blow up. There's too many things he's doing all at once that's proving this and this and this and completely different things. It must sound pretty stupid without any understanding at all. And then like hearing this, what on earth is this? That's why we read those verses start becoming alive more and more. They increase the power, the wisdom, the depth, the height. It's like insane. But what? What does that mean to a poor guy trapped in, lied to, and the false prophet minister lying to him, and he's in darkness? It means nothing. It's just truth, because I know it meant nothing to me. It's the same nothingness. It's just like a carnal reading words. It's all selfish, and just carnal. How could they comprehend this without seeing all these spiritual things? Without being given and increasing, they can't comprehend what depth, height, width, his wisdom is severely, insanely huge, crazy. It's shameful when Des shakes the fist and says, I'm God. And of course, just because I say that doesn't mean I'm not struggling with it or not going to have failure. There's nothing I hate more than seeing something pretty clearly. Whatever he gives us to see, it is clear. That doesn't mean it won't be clear even yet, but seeing something you see and then stupid man does it. Stupid self does it. You catch yourself doing something stupid like that. That's how quickly wrath brings blinding. So sick. But that's his judgments, though. Can't be denied. Oh, it's hard to comprehend. It's never put into words perfectly, and that's why we have parables. His whole word is a parable. Even all the real people, they didn't understand the Creator was working out through them, through real stories. I always want to say that because there's too many false things out in this world. Oh, the Bible's a parable, and they're deceiving people because it has nothing to do with what it really means. They're like coming from God is some kind of power. He's not. And they trick people, and then they buy books, and the Bible is a parable. They think they understand, and it's not, man. It's just a giant deception sucking people in. The only understanding comes from above. That's it. That's the only understanding with confidence and clarity and truth without contradicting. from him. But even the people, David, Abraham, real life examples, and then the examples are a parable, because a parable teaches something greater than itself, spiritual, of these examples. They are parables too. So it's like parables within a giant parable. And parables need to be given. And the Creator's not a trickster, and Messiah is not tricking people. To them it's not given. To you it is given. We read that. But given means given. Now, to those that it's not given, it's not given. They don't have it. That's what not given is. Now, they'll do anything and everything to try to throw that down. They don't like that because that's truth. The reality of this, like literally not given, to understand that man won't like that. He won't like that. That means it's not of self. It means you have to like actually worship the Creator or something weird like that. Like, I don't know, help me. I'm a loser, nobody, and a big sinner. Like, not a joke. And that means you don't know, and now he needs to give you what you don't know. Pretty weird, isn't it? You coming from this world, it's weird, strange. The transition is strange too. Wait a second. Like I said before, but maybe it's one thing here, one thing there, whatever, struggle here. Yeah, I'll stop. Wait a second. A split, that's the second comes in. Wait, I can't stop. No, I just don't want to. Just, and then some more time, and then the thought comes again, and that's the Father actually doing this. They're not coming from self. And it's like the Father giving you something, but it's like we're fighting it, and then you start becoming his will, and it's all one somehow. But the fighting, the wrestling, the resisting. Wait, no, it can't be that I can't actually like, boom, I'm just gonna stop, and I could do that anytime I want, and then it comes again, and then this time it scares you a little more. Ooh, let me go eat a cheeseburger or something, and then it comes again. Wait a second. You mean I literally can't stop if the Creator has judged a certain judgment on this? No, it can't be. And then, keeps increasing. It breaks us. Who believes this? It's a delusion to believe man does whatever he wants. And the Creator's giving everything. He's constantly giving. Even for deception. Somehow his giving actually is used for a judgment. Strange things. Giving someone what they want, just enough of what they want, for a deception. And it looks strange to say it in words, that the only reason someone has this or that power because the Creator gave them what they wanted, sinful heart, punishment, judgment, just enough of what they want. And he's giving it, and now they receive it, thinking it's their own. And it's the only reason they have it is because he gave it for a punishing delusion. Isn't this crazy? I can't get over saying those words over and over again. It's like a revelation. Scary. Now, where is that? Where is this? So there's this thing, this judgment, but how is it working in real life? What does this look like? Nothing, it's starting to fit into the Creator's truth, the Father's truth, and reality, and his word, his power, and that people are children, little children, and they're not God. And he's in charge for real, not just saying words, Calvinism or something. Sovereignty. They understand this sovereignty? Now I'm pretty confident because it's one of those names, a man's name. There's a certain requirement of sin and confusion to accept something like that continually. Are you of Paul or are you of Apollos? I know they're being judged for that one very thing, and that leads to all kinds of other things. And at the end of the line, I'm confident that if I were, if we were to face some of these people, they don't believe the very words they say. Sovereignty. But it's used like, oh, I found this serpent with this doctrine and these words. And now because the guys. And that hurt quite a bit when he started showing me that, because that's what? Because that's what I was doing in my mind to some degree, a lot and less, and then started showing me that. And that's not from reading books or anything. It's just from sitting on bed or sitting in my car, and boom, he's just giving like, oh crap. It's not a joke. You don't want to believe it, actually. They don't understand what's going on. It's like resisting believing this. So we don't even like want to, and then, yeah, we want truth, but they don't know what happened in the meantime to get it, because it's attacking us too. They never realize there's resistance, because self does that, and then self needs to stop doing that. And what's it required to stop doing this or that? Tribulation. Yeah, tribulation. Inside, tribulation. Tribulation from the world, yeah. Tribulation within, yeah. Flesh is at war with the spirit. What's a war look like? A battle, and a lot of work, a lot of sweating, a lot of moving around, moving quick, ducking, jumping, fighting. So the spiritual war is like tiring, because this war is going on inside. So it's like all these things just keep coming. Spiritual war didn't mean spiritual war. So it's like I see the world casually doing this spiritual war, But as soon as you talk a little bit about the spiritual war, the people that say it, the many, so often, this is what you'll see. They don't want to hear about it. They get angry. The more he gives, the crazier the claims are, but they're not claims. They're just things he's giving to see with spiritual eyes. That's the very thing we're concerned with, is not judging falsely. Because someone can't see something, quickly go, throw a dart, throw an arrow, and say, you're doing this. They're the ones that have no care for this specific sin at all. It's like blind, doesn't care at all. And we don't want to say anything that we don't see or hear. Say anything or, judge something that we don't see or hear. But, this is coming from the Father above, and they don't believe this exists. They don't know the Father doesn't exist. This can't be true. He doesn't give anyone anything. Although I read about it all day long in Scripture, that he speaks to people, and we even read it somewhere in the apostle says, like, that he speaks to men. It's like we have to read it plainly, because the world's so blind and crazy like that. Then you just have to say simple things like, like that. Because it's like a revelation to actually believe something so simple, even though they could read about it so many times. It's still a revelation to actually believe it and see it, to believe that the Creator speaks to people. The Messiah is the very example of the Father speaking spirit, instead of with like a voice with Moses on the outward things, the outside. the stone. But now inside, now it's not about looks. Now he's commanding everyone everywhere to repent for real. But before he winked at sin, now there is no answer. There's no confidence. There's no satisfying anything without seeing certain things for real. And now this verse makes some kind of spiritual sense and has, meaning. He winked at sin. What does this mean? It means something. But if we don't have the real things given by him, there's no contrast to mean anything. So what does a person do? Tries to think of what it means. Reads, looks, has a belief that it wants to believe, hears things from all over the, voices everywhere. It's interesting because that reminds me of they do that in the movies sometimes, there's some truth to this. Voices, people going crazy. It's spiritually crazy though. And so then these things take years, and you can't just give this to someone in 5 minutes. So then it starts making sense. What we read. Repent, believe the gospel, believe the good news, say a few things, whatever he's given. And now hopefully they receive the Spirit. It's that simple. Can't go crazy. Now if someone's asking, that might be a pretty important reason why they're asking. So then what? Well, it's going to happen. Someone, the Creator will give you these verses to do. Oh, you read about it, time to figure out what it's about. Someone comes and you're like, oh, someone's actually asking, out of sincerity, so then fear comes in, strange thing. Well, that came alive not even that long ago, where it says some do this, but some pull out of the fire with fear. What does that mean? Oh, it means something. Yeah, it means something. I just want to say it exists. To say someone, I just want to say it exists. I don't even like going further than that because I'm worried about. But it's not for that. It's not for showing off. But I don't know how close you can get, or it will sound like that. But it's just good to know it exists. That verse means something, and there's a reality to it. It's a strange thing. That's all. It's a good thing. What I'm saying is that fear was real. Fear is real. It's all of a sudden, it's just the Creator does the works. It comes alive. His words become alive. They're not just letters. And I don't remember the other one we read there. Some this, some with, different things, different scenarios. We'll see that all over his word. Sometimes yes, sometimes no for this or that. Sometimes, just depends. But it's crazy seeing these things come alive, what you read, and you know it. You know it's what you read. You know it. Period. You just know. So what am I saying not to do is don't think it'll never happen, or everyone's wicked, everyone's evil, no one cares, even though these things are true, but not to be thought in a wicked kind of way, hating the enemies, but they are true nevertheless. But if it's said with hatred and despising, see, you could say some true things while actually doing evil. And then all of a sudden, you might be sent, or someone sent to you. And now it's pretty important what we do. Yeah, it's maybe not super often, maybe, or maybe a little more over time, but never a lot. You know, it won't be like 50,000 people coming, and not now. But yeah, it's here and there.